All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy whatever day it is. What day is today? Today's Thursday, Friday Eve, as Aaron likes to call it. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. We released our 2017-2018 winter outlook earlier this morning. We went live with it at about 6 a.m. I'm sure by now, if you're reading this, you've probably seen it on Facebook. I'm going to try and answer as many questions as I can on the Facebook. I kind of want to just go over. I know I did read some of the comments that were under the thing. I know everybody's jokes all around. Everybody's talking about, yeah, this is the only profession where you could still be totally wrong and still get paid. Yes, I know. I'm a lucky guy to work in this profession. So is Tucker. So is Sue. Look, wind and weather outlooks are they're not so much forecasts as they are just sort of guides. They're fun to do. They're fun to read. They're fun to write up. It's a lot of history-based stuff. It's not so much it's not the same as making a forecast for tomorrow. It's a lot of looking back at weather features, which I'm going to show you here how we kind of got to the conclusion we did. It's a lot of looking back at weather features and how things are setting up now compared to how they were in the past. And we only have data back till 1950. It's a very small data set, but we do use that to try and get an idea of kind of what winter is going to do here. And with that said, let's go over it. First off, if you were reading the Chiron correctly, it says guy who was totally wrong last year. Yeah, well, not we. I totally admit last year was a terrible winter forecast. I felt pretty good about it going in, and we were cold early December, but as we got into the latter half of December, things just started going in a warmer direction, and it just didn't stop. I'm hoping that's not the case this year, though. I do think we will see some warmth from time to time. Let's get to it. This was last year's kind of winter. All the snow all the way across the country. We're right here. If you know DC, you know sometimes we get what's called the snow hole, which is where everybody gets snow around us, but we don't. Within that red is kind of this... or within that kind of thing is this 2 to 6 inch, kind of 1 to 6 inch range right in the DC region, where actually if you were south of us, if you were across southern Virginia, northern portions of North Carolina, they actually had one big snowstorm. They got one little blizzard. I believe it was in January, but I'm not 100% sure. But they got 6 to 12 inches of snow down southern Virginia. And then just to our north, of course, they got 1 to 2 feet on the season total. And, of course, the mountains always do well no matter what the winter is doing because of the elevation. But last winter, not the best for us for snow. 3.4 inches, top 10 worst winter of all time for snowfall in D.C. Though I will mention this going in. We have never had a winter that has had 0 snow in Washington. So if you're thinking it's going to be snow this winter, that's hard to do, although we have had winters where we've had below an inch of snow. All right, this was last winter. It was warm. It was nasty. Whole eastern half of the country. That was mostly from the second half. December started cold. We had single-digit lows in a lot of our suburbs mid-December, but then after that, things just kind of went in the warm direction, and we were stuck in it. All right, let's get right to the good stuff. Winter weather outlook for this year, and then as soon as I explain this, I'll hop in and I'll answer as many questions as I can. I'm sure people are throwing in like, yeah, you don't know what you talk about. Yeah, well, winter weather outlooks, again, aren't like making a forecast for the week. We have to use whatever climate signals we can find. Here's your average winter at the airports. Temperature-wise, chilly. Will be chilly from time to time. No, without a doubt. Even the warmest winters have their chilly periods. Look at your total snow. 15.4 inches DC. Dulles always does better. They're out to the west. They're a little higher elevated. 21.9 inches average for them. 20 inches for BWI up in Baltimore. Usually we do 8 days of measurable snow in DC. We do 10 at Dulles and BWI in your average winter. Unfortunately, this doesn't look like it's going to be your average winter. We're watching this zone right here. El Nino, La Nina, you hear it a lot. We're talking about this zone here. If it's cooler than normal water temperatures, which this is temperature anomalies I'm showing you, if it's cooler than normal, it's La Nina. If it's warmer in that box there, it's El Nino. Right now, as you can see, we're in the cooler direction. All the latest forecast trends have kind of kept us there. Here's the latest models for El Nino and La Nina. You can see that most of the forecasts are keeping us in a La Nina. We're kind of dancing right on that blue line there. So that's a weak La Nina, you see, as we head into the winter months. November, December, January, and February. So with that in mind, first off on November, I do think November starts chilly. We are going to be cold tomorrow morning. Then we're going to go through a little warm spell into the first half of the weekend. Sunday's going to be wet with a strong cold front. And then we're going to bring in another round of cold air next week. Does look like Halloween's on the cooler side of things. I'll show you the 7-day when we wrap things up here. Generally speaking, in weak La Niñas, Novembers tend to be cold. I think you see the National Weather Service forecast right there on the other side of your screen, which is going equal chances. EC means just as odds are favoring nothing. It's basically saying odds are favoring either warm or cold. La Niñas tend to be cold. I think we're gonna be up and down. I think we're chilly start, and then I think mid-month's kind of warm, and then maybe late month we get a little bit more cold in. But I think when everything's balanced, we'll be either neutral or maybe a little bit above normal because it does look like the second half of the month is going to be warm. All right, November's done. I don't think we're going to see any measurable snow. Maybe some flakes. Tucker's betting on some flakes here, but I don't think we're going to see any significant snow, and we usually don't in the month of November, but maybe we get a couple flakes here and there. I think it'd be the end of the month when we'd see it versus the beginning. Typical La Nina pattern right here. Typically you're warm to the south, you build a nice ridge up over the southern half of the United States, right kind of there, nice ridge of high pressure. That does two things. Instead of getting these storms that kind of dip down south and then come north, that give us our big snows, they're held to the north. So instead you get the storms that come across the Midwest and then lift northward. That's a more typical storm track. That's why you get the snow up in the Great Lakes, you get in the interior Northeast, you get it in the mountains of West Virginia, you get it in the mountains of Maryland and Pennsylvania. But generally speaking, us here in DC tend to be on the warmer side of these storm tracks. Doesn't mean that always is going to be the case, and we would be forecasting no snow if it was always going to be the case, but typically what you see is that these storms ride up the Appalachians. We're in the warm sector, so we do a lot of mixing. We don't do like all snow events. We will get some, but the big ones, the ones that have blizzard potential, so to speak, tend to rain out here during these types of years. And again, this is all statistics, guys. Again, I haven't peeked at the comments yet, but I'm sure we're having a good time there. It's a lot of statistics. This is what usually happens. Could Mother Nature throw us a curveball? Absolutely. She does all the time. Last winter was one big curveball. So we'll see what we get this year, but this is typically what we see. Average snowfall in DC, 15.4 inches, as mentioned before. Last year, we only got 3.4. Last year was also a weak La Nina season. Keep that in mind. Average snowfall during a weak La Nina averages about 4.5 inches or so less. Only 10.9 inches is the average snowfall when we're in a weak La Nina situation here, and I believe there's been 10 in recorded history. In fact, here's the latest. This is from the National Weather Service for La Nina winters. 39.2 degrees, which is a degree above normal, so warmer than normal is the average there. And then you see the snowfall over here. Again, temps over here, snowfall's right here. You see average, right, that black dotted line right here that goes across, tend to be below average. The only one that does halfway decent here is a moderate La Nina, but it doesn't look like that's coming. We have had some big snows in moderate La Nina years, but with it staying weak, again, if I go back to this graphic, you can see it's not forecasted. Moderate's like down in this range. Most of the models are keeping it as a weak La Nina. That's going to likely keep us on the below side of normal snowfall-wise. I do think it's more than last year. It's hard. I mean, 3.4 inches. It shouldn't be too hard to beat. But again, it's a wait-and-see scenario. I wish I could be like 110% confidence, but you know, last year's brought my confidence down a little bit because last year wasn't the best. So what we do when we make these forecasts, we have to go back. We have to look at previous years, see what those years did. Just a quick synopsis. This is over here on this side is what. This is what the models are forecasting, ocean temperatures. I'm big on ocean temperatures when I do seasonal forecasts because they tend not to change as much compared to land temperatures, and they can drive the weather patterns. When the air is definitely getting cold because we lose our sun angle, water temperatures can drive weather patterns. And in this type of scenario, you can almost kind of see them here, but these are all the previous years that had similar La Nina setups. You see right there, that signal of blue right there. And then I kind of took those years and said, okay, which ones have the best look to them compared to this over on the left-hand side of your screen. And I got this subset of years right here, which is what we use for our forecast. So just, again, kind of comparing and contrast ocean temperatures and seeing where certain things are. I look at something called the PDO, which is the distribution of water temperatures in the North Pacific. Generally speaking, you see this north one, snowy, weak La Niñas. We have had some La Niñas with above normal snowfall, but the only ones that have tended to have this cool water along the western coast of the United States. You see in the over here on the forecast side of things, generally leaning towards warm to neutral, and in the less snowy winters, that tends to be the case as well. So kind of a hint there on how we went from that to that. Another thing I look at is Siberian snowfall. It's not doing anything special. I know this graph's hard to see, but that light blue right there through November 1st is kind of where we are. We're sort of average there. Last year is that black line, what you see is well above. That was one of the reasons we thought it would be colder than normal. That ended up not panning out, and this doesn't always work. But the fact that it's average this year means I don't put as much weight in it. The general thinking here, and let me kind of zoom in here so everybody can see, is that you get a lot of snowfall in Siberia. It expands rapidly. That sun comes down, it reflects off the Siberian snowfall, goes back up into the atmosphere, warms the upper atmosphere. That initiates blocking patterns. Blocking patterns help bring cold air down south here in the United States. It's worked before, probably not going to be the best winter for it. So I'm not going to put too much weight into it. The other thing I'm looking at is solar cycles. Again, I don't want to get too complicated here, but we look at sunspot numbers in DC. This over here, well, not in DC, but globally as well. This over here was solar cycle 23. Sorry for the awful handwriting. And you see our biggest snowfall year on record was right at the minimum. 09, 010. We had 56 inches of snow. Snowmageddon was that year. We had a blizzard right before Christmas, and we had snow on the ground for Christmas. It was awesome if you're a snow lover. We had then two in 1 week, two massive blizzards in DC during the, I think, first and second week, or maybe just the first week of February that year. We're now in cycle 24, but we're coming towards the tail end of it. I just don't think, you see this last kind of black line right there poking up. We're a little bit up right now, so I don't think sunspots are going to play a huge role. So I took into account where we were, that it's trending down, and we had a lot of warm winters up when we were at the maximum. But now that it's trending down, that just means colder winters should become more favored. I just don't think it's in the cards this year because we're not quite hitting that minimum just yet. But watch out in the future, you know, maybe next winter, but beyond that, winter of 19, winter of 20, we could potentially be seeing some more colder winters. This is just raw data again. Up top is temperatures. Generally speaking, from all the years, we got a weak cold signal. But from my favorite years, we got a warm signal here, eastern half of the United States. I didn't go quite as warm as this, but I kind of blended both of them. But generally speaking, I think we'll end up, when all is said and done, on the warmer side of things. That does not mean it's going to be a warm-dominated winter. I just think that when February wraps up and we look back, temperatures all across the board would have been just slightly above normal. You see, this is precipitation on the bottom. The fact that we're in orange here means drier than normal conditions. So favoring the below normal snowfall and below normal precipitation in general. La Niñas tend to do that. If you like snow, you want an El Nino. El Ninos are the best here. In 09, 010, when I mentioned the solar minimum, where we got all that snow, was also a La Nina, I believe a moderate El Nino event. So without further ado, here's our outlook. Cold temperatures across the north. If you remember, see if I can get back to it. There it is. So typical La Nina setup, again, cold across the north. That's sort of exactly what we're going with here. Cold across the northern half of the United States into the Great Lakes. That's why I think the interiors and the ski resorts, high elevation, should do fine for snowfall here, with the cold air moving in across the Great Lakes. Slightly above normal temperatures here across the eastern seaboard into the DC region, even up to Philly, New York, just slightly, ever so slightly above normal. Here's snowfall outlook nationally. Laugh all you want. Texas below normal snowfall. They barely get any. Northern Texas gets some snow, and occasionally up towards Amarillo they'll have a couple blizzards every now and then. But below normal snow across the south because of La Nina tends to favor the warmth down there. And then your above normal zone, of course, up to the north, where the cold air is basically present. And your typical storm track tends to run like that in La Nina. Once or twice you'll get a storm that comes up here and phases off the coast. and then goes up, and they'll get a nice big blizzard up towards Boston. So that's why I kind of went above normal snow up there. But generally speaking, I think it's a normal-ish to below normal season here in DC. Again, just because of history, guys. La Niñas tend not to do so well here, and I'll prove it in just a minute. Here's our winter snowfall outlook. Let me zoom in on this without blocking any of it. 50 inches plus in the mountains is nothing unusual. In fact, Garrett County, the mountain tops out there, tend to average more than 100 inches of snow. I think they'll be just fine this winter with the storm track because, again, high elevations, you're bringing colder air. You're having an easier time having the colder air reaching those high elevations. Farther eastward, I-95 corridor, you know how it is. Remember last March, we mixed out pretty hard in our biggest storm of the season. We got our inch plus. In fact, I think we got 2 inches out of that storm. But a lot of it was slush. A lot of it was ice. It's seasonal to below still as you go out through Loudoun County, Frederick County, Maryland, Prince William County. 16 to 25 inches is a decent season, but it's nothing too special. And when you look at climatology, for a lot of those locations, it's just a little bit below normal. And again, that has everything to do with La Nina. 5 to 13 inches, it might be generous, honestly, for the eastern shore, for southern Maryland. We got warm waters down there, and with the favored storm track, they are going to have a hard time. We will get clippers, and clippers are going to be the best chance to get the accumulating snow around here. Those all snow events just probably will not tend to be big snow makers, if you know what I mean. So we favor, and Tucker favors this too, several 1 to 3 inch snowstorms instead of one big 11 to 17 inch snowstorm. Although I'd love it if we got the 11 to 17. Speak of the devil. He's on the phone right now. Otherwise, I'd pull him in. Hi, Tucker. La Nina blizzards here in DC, just to prove my point that we don't do a lot of them. First off, none of these years, except for one, maybe 2000, 2001, I don't even think that was. I don't think any of these years are weak La Ninas. I know 96 was a moderate. In fact, I'll cheat ahead. Let's go here. So 2000, 2001 was a week. Okay, there we go. Except it was 99, 2000 because it was January of 2000. So that was actually a strong La Nina. 95, 96 was a moderate, and then 1972, I want to say, was strong. I got to go back and find my other graphic. 1973. Okay, so 1973, and we're going to go through all of these in a minute. I think I exited out. I hope I didn't. Oh, there it is. 1973 was a strong. So again, none of these years. I'm jumping all around, sorry. None of these years that you see here, these are our biggest La Nina snowfalls, and none of them are weak La Ninas, which is a problem for snow lovers here. But our most recent big blizzard during a La Nina year was over 20 years ago, 1996. You might remember, not to make anybody feel old, but I was only 6 years old when that happened, so I don't remember it very much. But 17.1 inches of snow, and I believe that was, that wasn't the storm of the century, but it was one of the biggest snowfalls DC's ever seen, and actually in the winter of 95, 96 was, I think, third most snowfall ever seen in the DC region, either second or third. 2000, 9.3 inches, and 1973, 10.2 inches. So that just gives you an idea. If you rank the El Nino blizzards, there's a whole lot more of them. So El Nino versus La Nina for blizzard, it heavily favors El Nino over La Nina. Again, this goes all the way back to 1950. We have only seen 3 considerable snow events, I'd say high-level snow events here in DC, with the most recent one, again, being about 21 years ago. Let's move forward. Here's some other winter outlooks, just if you want to compare. Again, ours kind of looks like that. And then here's the National Weather Service's, that's precip. Here's National Weather Service temperature. So they're kind of doing the same thing. They got the cold, or they're favoring the cold up in this part of the country. They're favoring the warmth down south and up the East Coast. Ours is very similar, and in fact, our snowfall map, very similar. They don't do snowfall at the National Weather Service. They just do precipitation. But if you kind of get an idea where the cold's going to be and where the warm's going to be, and then you do their precipitation forecast, you can kind of see where they're favoring more snow around Great Lakes, interior Northeast, and then up in the mountains of the Northern Rockies. That's National Weather Service. One of my favorite things every year is the Farmer's Almanac, because they're almighty and powerful. Everybody loves the Farmer's Almanac. They are favoring right now a mild and wet winter. You can see it right there, mild and wet. This is where it gets fun for me, because I looked at them last month when I kind of started writing things out, and this is what I saw on their website, which was, hey, super cold and snowy. So, gotta be cautious with the Farmer's Almanac, because they tend to flip-flop a lot. It's almost like you call for everything and eventually you'll nail it one way or the other. But they've so far called for both. If you're just going by, their most recent, you say, hey, they changed. Yeah, their most recent one is saying mild and wet winter, so they're kind of leaning towards the La Nina situation as well. Our friends at AccuWeather, and I will zoom in on this because it's a little small, but they're kind of favoring very similar thing. Arctic blasts across the north, warmth in the south at times. Rain is favored more so than snow here in DC, but I highlighted, and let me scroll, let me zoom it out so you can see it. Daggone it. All right, I'll tell you what, let me take off this. Areas in the I-95 corridor will average close to normal within a few inches, is what they say at our friends at AccuWeather there. Just a quick reference to El Nino, La Nina. There you go. There are all the La Nina years. I already kind of showed this graphic, but let me show you what that means snowfall-wise, and let's see if I can zoom in. Every year I have in the red box is DC snowfall in a weak La Nina season. So 2016, 2017, last year, we only got 1.4 inches in January. We got more snow in early spring, well, technically still winter, but meteorologically it's early spring considered in March. 2 inches of snow. So we got the most snow in March versus at any time during the winter. We only traced in December. The week La Nina before that, 08, 09, 7.5 inches of snow that season, so less than 10 inches. 2005, 2006, 13.6. I like 2005, 2006 as an analog, so I kind of think we're heading for a winter similar to that year. That year we got just a trace in November. We did halfway decent in December, so for the December snow lovers, we got almost 5 inches in December. Didn't do much in January, and we got 8.8 in February, which isn't a terrible February here unless you want the 28.7 like in 2 and 3. 2001, 2002 was the weak La Nina before that, only 7.4 inches. 84, 85, weak La Nina, 10.3. 83, 84, 8.6. I'm sorry, 84, 85, 10.3, 83, 84, 8.6, 74, 75, 12.8, 71, 72, 16.8. Out of all those I just read, the only one, the last time we had a weak La Nina with an above normal snowfall season was 1971, 1972. So again, it's all just statistics based. We only have 10 weak La Nina years to go off of. But generally speaking, weak La Ninas have not been the most favorable for snow here. You want any hope, you got to watch this feature. It's called the NAO. Basically, and I'll just make this real quick, if you build a block up here in Greenland, you force cold air southward. This showed up in a lot of the years that I used that I liked. They're called analog years, years that I use when I make my winter forecast. If that feature's there, it tends to force cold air southward, and if you're forcing cold air southward, you're lowering the jet stream. You're lowering the jet stream, you get that storm track a little farther south. You get the storm track far enough south, we'll be on the cold side of the storm, which gives us better odds of snow. So that's one thing to look out for that could potentially give us a snowier season. But since it's not favored in any of the years, I can't, I don't want to put out there. I would much rather forecast a low season and get a high season than have what happened last year where I forecast a high snow season and get a low one. Quickly, local weather, because I just want you to be aware of what's going on locally. That's kind of our winter forecast. Let me do the local forecast for anybody curious about this weekend. Anybody headed to the Redskins game will want to pay attention. High pressure's in control through the end of the week and through the first half of the weekend. Saturday's looking nice. Saturday's looking like 70s in the afternoon. Cold front comes our way during the early hours of Sunday. Sunday morning could be a deluge in the morning as we get a little something tropical down here in the south, down in this region coming up. Will it be a named storm? Probably not. Could it be a tropical depression? Maybe. But there is a strong cold front coming across that's going to grab it and throw it up northward. But remember, these storms are making moisture go up in the atmosphere. So you're grabbing storm moisture, you're throwing it up in our direction. So we have the potential to get some needed heavy rain in the region on Sunday. Now, game time for the Redskins is right about, that's 2 o'clock, 4:25. So it's wrapping up at that point. So maybe some good news for Redskins fans that by the afternoon hours of, or by game time on Sunday afternoon, things are getting better. Will be breezy, and it will start getting chilly once you get towards sunset. So you will probably, in fact, it's probably going to be really breezy out there at FedEx Field on Sunday evening. So be aware of that if you're going to the game. We're pretty dry after that. I just kind of wanted to mention that. Do want to mention that it's putting down some snow in the mountains once again. GFS, this one model's not showing too much. This is the American model showing, you know, an inch or two at most on some of the mountain peaks out in West Virginia as that front comes through on Sunday. The different model kind of likes it. It's putting down 5, 6, 7 inches of snow. This is the North American model. Don't love this model this far out. Believe it or not, 3-4 days is pretty far out for this particular model. But just wanted to show you that there are signs of winter not too far off to the west. That's pretty typical. The mountains of West Virginia do tend to get some snow through late October and into November. They average, actually, I believe, in snowshoe, they usually average about 3.5 inches of snow during October, and they've got a trace yesterday. So they're actually running below normal as far as snow's concerned in that region. Quick look at the 7-day forecast in case you missed it on air today. 61 today, 67 tomorrow. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. Tomorrow will start chilly, though. 45 in D.C. and frost advisory up for just about the entire region, even the freeze warning north and west. So if you have outdoor plants, bring them in if you don't want them to, frankly put it, die. We get into the weekend, we're warming it up tomorrow afternoon. Saturday morning's not too bad, but 40s and 50s. Saturday afternoon's gorgeous, some sunshine, 70s. Clouds move in late Saturday ahead of that storm on Sunday. That does look like it's going to give us rain at least through the first half of the day. We clear it out Monday. We're cool, we're breezy, we're fall-like, highs only in the 50s. Halloween right now looks spectacular. Chilly start, and after sunset with the little ghosts and goblins out, they will probably be on the cooler side of things. Certainly in the suburbs, probably need the jacket as you're trick-or-treating. But at least it's dry, because looks like by Wednesday we do get the chance for some showers in here. Okay, I'm wrapping it up right now. So that was that's our winter weather outlook. Let me see if anybody, I have been talking for a while, so let's see if anybody has questions. I got to, you can go ahead and ask questions if you want to ask any questions at all. Let me put my happy smiling face back on. Actually, you know what? Let me put up the winter forecast graphic, and you guys can ask me whatever questions you want to ask me about our winter forecast and whether or not, or you can just make fun of me and say, "Hey, you're probably going to be wrong again." I know it comes. You know what? It comes with the territory. If you work in this business, you got to be prepared to take it. Let's see. Katina says, "I'm Queen Mother Ancient Alien." Congratulations, Katina. Bring snow without the Night Walkers. I know, right? That Game of Thrones. Too bad we're going to have to wait like a year and a half for the next season. How can I get a copy of that chart? What chart, Deanne? Let me know what chart. I'll let you know. Ice storm this year. That's a good point, Maurice. Actually, I should mention this, that La Nina winters, I mentioned before, they tend not to do too well snow-wise. They do tend to come with ice storms. So above normal chance of getting a mixy kind of ice storm this year compared to, say, other years like it. Let's see. Speak the truth to all the humans. Okay, Katina. We are in love. I don't know what's going in there. What's the snow for the winter? How much snow this winter? Right there. It's on your screen for you, Kim. We're going 11 to 17 inches. Average here in D.C. is 15.4. I think D.C. itself is probably going to end up on the lower side of that total, that 11 to 17 inch total. But again, this is just kind of based on statistics of years with a similar pattern. Doesn't mean Mother Nature won't throw us a surprise. I hope she does. I'm a big snow lover. I would love to have a blizzard here in DC, but this year we're not favoring the big blizzard because of La Nina, the La Nina pattern. I want snow. I know, Diane. I want snow too. Hi, Jennifer. I want snow. Let's see, Chris, watching from Calvert County. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome, Chris. We're happy to do it, and we love. By the way, people always ask us why do we do these if they're going to be wrong half the time. We love it. We enjoy it. We have a ton of fun researching. Well, personally, I do a lot of the research here, so I love researching it and trying to figure out what the winter's going to bring. I'm not always right, and last year I was far from it. But the year before, we did all right. And I just think it's fun to try and do it. Any winter outlook you see has a similar method. There's no one thing that I can point to and go, that feature right there means we're going to have a blizzard this winter. That doesn't exist. So we kind of have to piece together the puzzle, so to speak, and then see if at the end it makes a picture or if I got to rearrange the puzzle again, if that makes any sense at all. Please let it snow on Christmas. I agree. Vera's on the other camp. She wants no snow at all. Nora says, bring it. I agree, Nora. Let's bring the snow. Chart showing New York. Let's see. Dan says chart snow. Will it be the same for Alexandria, Virginia? Dan, I'm not sure what chart for New York you're talking about. Give me a little more details. I can try and help you out there. Jazzy said, will it be the same for Alexandria, Virginia? Yeah, I mean, what you kind of see is what you get. Alexandria is just on the other side of the river. They'll do it. Depends on which way the wind's blowing, honestly. A lot of times with the northwest wind, you'll get a little river breeze. Sorry. But I think it'll be about very similar to that kind of range. 11 to 17 is what I'm running through there. I'll stick by that. Let's see. Love my snow, brother. Hope so, Brian. I love the snow, too. Is it going to be a cold winter this year? There'll be waves of cold. I don't think... We had winters like 2013, 2014 where the cold got locked in. I don't see that this winter. But I think we will have waves of cold coming across. A lot like we're going to see in November. We'll start cold, we'll get warm again, and then I think we end the month on the cold side. I think that kind of variability in the temperatures is something we'll see continually throughout the winter. I don't see any sort of pattern, either warm or cold, locking in. Let's see. Yather says, hey, Mike, I work with Montgomery County Transit. Should I expect bad conditions? I see. While I don't think you'll see bad conditions on as many days as a typical winters, but certainly when it snows, I mean, you know how it is around here. We get flurries. Traffic backs up like crazy. So on the days when it snows, absolutely. Do I think it's going to be as bad as 2009, 2010, the 56 inches of snow year? No, I think you're going to have a better time with it. Please no snow until February, says Lori. My due date is in January. Oh, congratulations, first off, for Lori. On your child. I personally, based on the research I did, I think January, unfortunately, looks like, just because I think January is going to be the coldest of the 3 winter months, December, January, February, it looks to me like January is going to be the coldest month. So that's why I think we have the best chances of getting that snow in January. But it could happen. We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. Let's see. Hope we get lots of snow, says Victor. I do too. Let's see. Copy of past year's accumulation chart. Yes, I will. Here, I'll show you how to do that if you want to. All right, let's do it for Deanne real quick. That copy of, I'm assuming this chart is what you want. I'll do it for you live here so that you can see if you want to look up historical information. Look right above my head here. We go to weather.gov, which is the government site. You'll get a nice pretty map. You can click on the DC region. It'll pull up this page. You see that blue, by the way, that's your frost advisories. The darker purples are freeze warnings out to the west there. We switch over, or we hit this button that says climate and past weather right there. You hit that, you go to this tab that says now data, and then let me get rid of my face so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. You make sure Washington area is selected. You go to monthly summarized data. You type the word, if you want all the years, you type poor, just like they tell you to do that there if you want all the years. Change it to snowfall, hit the go button, and there you go. There's all your historical snow data. So you can get that yourself off the weather.gov site. So hopefully that helps you there. You can do it the same, if you're watching from a different city, you can do the same thing there. Let's see. Any big snowstorms or ice storms? I don't think the big, I explained before, we've only had, I can count on two fingers, the number of 10-inch plus snowstorms we've had during La Nina winter. So I don't think it's in, I hope it's in the cards, but I don't think it's in the cards this year. Ice storms, I'd be a little bit more concerned about. We could possibly do some ice storms this year. Let me go back to the snowfall outlook because I think that's what people want to see. Let's see, got it. You're welcome, Deanne. No problem. That's why I'm here. Let's see. Diane, we know that, Mike. It's crazy. It's a crazy area, the country to live in. No one handles snow as bad as DC handles snow. That's for sure. I think that's about all the questions rolling in. If you have any other questions, let me know. I'm going to wrap this thing up rather quickly here. What time is it? So a couple more minutes. It's 11:41. I'll go to 11:45, and then I need to cut this off for the day. Molly's got to come in, and she's going to do some news here. So if you have questions, fire away. Thanks for showing the site where to get it. No problem, Dan. Overtime, I hope. I hope too, but probably not. I love Christmas I hope to work some overtime this winter, though, because if we get the big storms, we get to work overtime. So fingers crossed for one. Again, I know I say it's not favored in the cards, but that doesn't mean a man can dream, right? When's the first snow coming? Good question. A lot of these years have a little bit of snow in December. I think we might see some flakes before November's out, but I don't think it's anything that accumulates. Oops, sorry, I'm talking over a picture here. Let me put my little face back in here. There I am. Again, I don't think it's anything that we need to be concerned with in November. December, maybe. I favor January. Tucker likes December, so it's kind of pick and choose your month. Again, usually La Nina years, it tends to be January, February that we get decent snows. But there have been La Ninas with a couple inches of snow in December. So we'll keep our fingers crossed if you like a white Christmas that we'll get something around that time, but not sure. What are the chances for a bad nor'easter, Lisa asks. Here in D.C., they're lower than normal. They're not zero. They're never zero in any year, but a lot of things need to go right for it to happen in a La Nina situation. El Nino is warmer than normal water temperatures. You get higher winds to help with storm formation, atmospherically, higher winds to help with storm formation, and you get more moisture in the atmosphere from the warm temperatures in the Pacific. We have colder than normal temperatures, less moisture, less winds, so usually the chances are not as great. It's happened before. The last time was January of 1996. We'll hope for that, but generally speaking, below normal there, Lisa. A little more average to above normal as you head up towards New England and Boston, because some of these storms that go up are going to go from the mountains to the coastline. It's called transferring lows. Those happen a lot in the winter. That will happen probably once or twice this winter, and Boston will make out with a decent snowfall. Again, I just don't think we're going to be so lucky here in D.C. Mike, do you think Charles County will have more than an inch? Than 1 inch? Yeah, I think they'll have more than 1 inch, but I think they have less than 1 foot. So there's your question there. My birthday's 2 days before Christmas. Happy almost birthday, I guess. It's several months away. Let's see. Jennifer says, thanks, Mike. You're welcome. Erica says, I want a lot of snow. Eric says, I want a lot of snow. I want a lot of snow too, Eric. We just moved here from California. We're hoping for snow. Well, welcome to the DMV, Cynthia. We hope to get you a lot of snow, but might be a little on the tough side this year. But those years are at my old company, when I did this for a living instead of the TV thing, we had this little rule we called the 7-year rule, which is DC tends to get a big snow year every 7 years, like a monster snow year. And we sort of kind of just had that 2 years ago with the monster blizzard. But we'll see. I think we have to go a couple more years to get out to that solar minimum I was talking about before. And then we have higher chances of getting into some of those higher snowfalls. Garrett County, way up northwest Maryland, should do just fine. Some of the mountains had snow this morning, I believe. I was on air at 4:30, and they were doing some snowfall out there. Angela asked about I think Garrett County is going to do like more average. Here in D.C., I-95, more below average. When you get out to the west of I-81, out in the highlands, I think it's more an average winter there versus a below average winter. When is the snow going to start? I wish I had that answer, Rodney. I don't think it's anytime soon. I think we have to wait until, at the very least, December till we start talking measurable snow. That's typical here. I personally think it's going to hold off till January. Tucker's in the camp of let's go with December. So we'll kind of wait and see. What about the Midwest? Midwest, I think, is headed for an above normal snow season. The storm track, let's see, who asked that question? What about the Midwest? What about Angela asked that question? I think the Midwest is going to be more above normal, just because the storm track, if it goes right up the range of the Appalachians, we're on the warm side, but Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and Indiana, they tend to be on the cool side. Plus, if you have clippers come across, they tend to get the better snows with the clippers. So I think it's an above normal snowfall for the Midwest, and slightly cooler than normal temperatures for the Midwest as well. Not a big snow person. I'm a Christmas baby. Oh, happy almost birthday to you as well, Alice. That's the only day I won it on. We'll see what we can do. Derek, I think I hit Garrett County already again. I think you're about average. Oh, is it time?
When are you going to wrap this up?
Are you waiting for me? In 1 minute.
Okay.
You want to say hi?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Oh, you got to duck down. You're a headless. You're a headless man.
Hi, everybody.
I'm just answering some questions. Everybody say hi
How's
to
it
Tucker.
going?
It's good.
Are they hurling insults at us?
No, you know what? No insults yet that I've seen. They're probably way at the beginning, and I refuse to read those.
I had somebody just threaten me that if we didn't get snow this year, he and his kids were coming after us. So we got to deliver.
Well, we'll give out Gary McGrady's address on here a little later,
Right.
and you can hunt him down if this is wrong. All right, Montgomery County DMV area. One more question because I got to go. They're probably waiting on me upstairs, right? I got to run after this. So last question, Montgomery County DMV area, February baby. So I always hate being stuck at home. January, February, just historically in general, tend to be our snowiest month. But same kind of deal. I favor below normal snowfall this year. Maryland, Dominic, you can kind of see it right there. Eastern half of Maryland, I think, is below normal. As you get towards the northwest, Maryland Panhandle, West Virginia Panhandle, mountains of West Virginia, I think they do fine with snow this year. But here, I-95 corridor, I think we struggle a little bit. Tucker, West Virginia got about Tucker County, West Virginia got about 2 inches. Was that last night? That's awesome. Good, I like an early snow. All right, guys, that's all I have time for. They need me upstairs, so I have to run. If you have any questions at all about the winter outlook, what you saw, or if you have questions about your specific area, you can tweet me, Mike T. Fox 5. You can find me on Facebook, Mike Thomas Fox 5. I will answer any questions you have as often as I can. I'm not on there 24/7, but I'll try throughout the winter. If we have a storm coming up, or if we have anything showing up on modeling for winter, I will go live on Facebook on my page, and I will kind of give discussions. Within 7 days of snow coming our way, I will go live and start, kind of following the storm with you and give you all the information. I hope to track blizzards. I really do. I'm hoping for blizzards this year. Again, we're not favoring it. It doesn't tend to be in the cards in La Nina, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that maybe Mother Nature throws us a little surprise and we get at least one halfway decent snowfall here. Again, generally speaking, we think the bulk of that 11 to 17 inches will come from several smaller scale snow events versus the larger ones. We think that the big storms this year will probably be mixed terrain events versus all snow events, which is what we need for the big totals. All right, guys, again, you know where to find me on Twitter. You can find Tucker Fox 5. He answers people all the time, too. He knows all about this stuff, and he can answer questions. Sue's on tonight. Caitlin's on tonight. Gary, Gwen, you can text them all. They will answer any questions you have. I'm going to sign off here, guys. It's been a pleasure. Again, I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's questions. I will try and get to everybody's questions, or I will try and scroll through later if I can and answer everybody's questions on winter. Generally speaking, again, have fun reading it, enjoy it, notice the research that went into it, because it did take me about 2 weeks to write, because even though it's fun, it's a tedious task to try and get these winter outlooks together. But again, at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be kind of a fun read that says, hey, in previous years that look like this, here's what happened, and here are some snowfall numbers to go along with it. At the end of the day, Mother Nature doesn't care what this kid right here thinks the winter is going to do. Mother Nature is going to do her own thing. We'll be there to watch it with you. Again, as I mentioned before, I hope to track a blizzard, but we'll see. Hoping for the best. Happy almost winter. It officially kicks off December 21st. We're counting down the days here. Also have a happy and safe Halloween. Coming up next Tuesday. We'll have that full forecast coming up tomorrow. All right, guys, take care. Have a great Thursday afternoon. Almost Friday. Hang in there. Weekend's right around the corner. All right, take care, guys. See ya.